Hey guys, my name's Dale, and this is Think Fact.
It's time to learn geography.
No, cut that, stop that, that's the wrong show. That's the wrong show. This is Think Fact. When you think of islands, what are some places that immediately come to your mind? Greenland, the biggest island in the world, maybe Great Britain, Java, Cuba, or even the islands part of Japan, Hawaii, or even Greece. Earth has a lot of islands, and that's thanks in part to it also having a lot of water. 71% of the Earth's surface is covered in this stuff. But when taking into consideration the requirements for something to be identified as an island, something Encyclopedia Britannica has stated as being, any area of land smaller than a continent and entirely surrounded by water. Islands may occur in oceans, seas, lakes, or rivers. And check out the description if you'd like to learn more. Because of that, it raises the question for this video. What places on Earth are technically islands because they are completely surrounded by water, yet places that are not really known by that many people? We all can recognize the obvious ones, but what about the islands hiding in plain sight? IHIPs. Well, let's see if that will catch on. This video is going to focus on 5 islands, otherwise the video would be way too long. So there will be a part 2 and maybe a few more if the series is well received. And once we are done, you may look at geographic regions around the world a little differently from now on. So, let's get started. The first island hidden in plain sight we're going to look at is made up of the United States and Canada. The entirety of New England is actually on the island, just like Old England, so I guess now things are consistent. It also includes parts of New York State, New Brunswick, and Quebec. The island is roughly around 235,000 squared kilometers, meaning if it were officially recognized as an island and placed on the list of the biggest islands in the world, it would actually rank 7th, being just about the same size of the biggest island of Japan, Honshu. It's also almost the same size as the state of Minnesota or the nation of Laos, which is the 82nd biggest nation in the world by area. The outline of the island can be found in the following way. Utilizing the St. Lawrence River and the Atlantic, we start in the Quebec city of Sorel, which sits upon the intersection between the St. Lawrence River and the Richelieu River. We then make our way down south along the Richelieu River to Lake Champlain. At the south end of the lake, you'll find the Champlain Channel, which connects to the Hudson River near the town of Hudson Falls. From the Hudson River, you can head straight to the Atlantic, exiting through New York City itself, going between Manhattan Island and the Bronx. After that, you'll head straight up the coastline. Of course, Cape Cod isn't included because it's actually an island itself. We head up all the way past Maine into the Bay of Fundy, and we make our way to the city of St. John, New Brunswick and travel up along the St. John River. Following the river all the way past Fredericton to the towns of Edmundston, New Brunswick and Madawaska, Maine, you head north through Edmundston City up along the Madawaska River into Quebec. You will then reach Lake Témiscouata. A small stream off the north end of the lake then connects to the Trois-Pistoles River, eventually draining into the St. Lawrence River itself from the small Quebec town of Rivière-Trois-Pistoles. Now, you may have noticed something with this. Utilizing the very same waterway, you can actually identify an island out of parts of New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and southwest Quebec. The island is roughly around 145,000 squared kilometers, being almost the same exact size as the 12th largest island in the world, New Zealand's South Island. It's actually coincidentally very close. Or in other terms, a little smaller than the nation of Nepal, which is the 93rd biggest nation in the world. But it doesn't stop there. On the other side of the island that we initially discussed, we can utilize previously mentioned waterways up to the town of Waterford, just south of Hudson Falls. From there, we can break off into the Mohawk River, which stems off the Hudson River. You go up through Pools Brook, which is part of the Erie Canal, and you will come up upon Oneida Lake. On the other side of the lake, you'll find the Oneida River, which meets up with the Oswego River. Follow that up north to Lake Ontario, and there you have it. This ends up creating one more island up here in North America. Utilizing New York State and southern Quebec, and being about 49,000 square kilometers, this would make it the 31st biggest island in the world, of course if you're not including the other two. And there are numerous other small islands that you can find here if you follow the rivers that intersect the Erie Canal. Our next island hidden in plain sight is in South America, consisting of parts of Venezuela and Brazil, along with the entirety of Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana. This island is ginormous. At roughly around 1,700,000 square kilometers, this island is undoubtedly the second biggest island on Earth. It's almost twice the size of the second biggest island in the world, New Guinea, and 80% that of the size of Greenland. The island is slightly bigger than the country of Iran, which is the 17th biggest country in the world by area. The outline of the island can be found in the following way. Utilizing the Atlantic Ocean, we start off in the northeast side of Venezuela, at the south end of the entrance of the Orinoco River that hugs the island. following it quite a ways past Guayana City, Ciudad Bolivar, Puerto Paz, all the way to the fascinating looking town of San Fernando de Atabapo. Here make sure you follow the Orinoco River as it breaks east. You follow it south along the Yapacana National Park all the way to the small town of Tamatama. Here you follow the Cassiquiare River all the way to the southwest until you hit the Negro River, which lines the border along Venezuela and Colombia. From there we follow the river past São Gabriela da Cachoeira, all the way to the city of Manaus. There the Negro River connects with the Amazon. Here you just hug the north side of the island all the way down the Amazon River. Eventually you'll hit the city of Macapa, and then the Atlantic Ocean itself. The area is undoubtedly an island, though it's very possible that the place could be broken up if certain waterways are found to be connecting that I didn't manage to catch. I mean, I'm only human, but you could still shave off quite a bit from it and it would still sit quite comfortably as the second biggest island in the world. The last island we are going to look at is in Europe, and the island that started this whole search for me. Consisting of almost the entirety of Norway, Sweden, and Finland, and a small portion of Russia, though it's still a lot of land, it's just Russia's enormous comparatively. At about 1,400,000 square kilometers, this island would be the second biggest island in the world as it currently stands, or the third if we take into consideration the South American island. Being slightly bigger than the nation of Peru, which is the 19th biggest nation in the world by area, the island takes up an enormous amount of territory, being almost 60% that of the size of Greenland, being just a little bit smaller than 2 New Guineas. The outline of the island can be found in the following way. Utilizing the Arctic Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, and the Baltic Sea, and most notably the White Sea-Baltic Channel, you start in the city of St. Petersburg, Russia, just north of the Petrogradsky district. Following the Neva River, you will make it into Lake Ladoga. On the lower eastern side of the lake, you'll find the Svi River, which you will follow until you make it to Lake Onega. On the north side of the lake towards the town of Povenets, you head through a series of small rivers and lakes until you hit Lake Volgozera. You will head north to the left side of the Vug River, near Kabanebor, in order to hug the island. Keep following the river north until you hit the town of Belomorsk, and you will have finally made it to the White Sea. Now, I'm sure there are multiple areas where you could form islands off of this, especially considering how unbelievably ridiculous the coast of Norway is. Come on, Norway, why you gotta be like that? I mean, I know it's not your fault, but goodness gracious, that is very hard to measure. Of course, my convenience is at the utmost importance here. But the most interesting part of this is it raises the question, should we think of Scandinavia as a peninsula anymore? Because it's not, or at least not as a whole. Speaking of questions, this brings up the question for the video. What would you guys name each one of these islands? My personal recommendations would be Wabanaki Island, after the Wabanaki Confederacy that existed throughout most of this territory, which was a large Native American political entity. Acadia Island, after the Acadian region. Mohawk Island, after the Mohawk tribe, which is primarily in that area. Orinoco Island, but I could see there being quite a number of names for that area. And, well, of course, the island of Scandinavia. That seems to be a given, but you know, maybe you like my recommendations, maybe you had some of your own, so please feel free to share. And finally, there is definitely going to be a part 2 of this video. We'll cover a few more islands along with some that are a bit hard to verify, but still fun to address. And with all that said and done, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. My name's Dale, this is Think Fact, and remember, never stop learning and thinking. Have a good one. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, that would really help me out. And if you like my content and you haven't already, please subscribe and ring that bell. I post videos pretty sporadically, so that will help you keep up to date. Have a good one.